Hi, George. My name's Robin. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me today.
Of course, happy to be here.
A little bit about myself and my site. I run a blog and social media platform called momthemagnificent.com. And my tagline is sharing my tales, tips, and tricks of the trade with other parents. And so travel is one of my main focuses there. So I do a lot of local travel. I'm just out of the DC area. And I like to do some further travel too. So it's great to talk with you. My kids and I have already seen all of season 1. Nashville's their favorite episode. So they were excited that I get to chat with you about season 2. So that's a little bit about me.
Terrific. Yeah.
Nashville's
a fun city.
So I'm living in Woodbridge, Virginia. So I'm a little about 25 minutes from DC. If there's no traffic, it can also be like 2 hours.
Sure.
Depending. So my kids are really hoping, one of the main things they wanted me to ask you is, are you considering doing a Washington, DC episode? Is that on the horizon for you at all?
I mean, I can say I have, I've pitched a 12 episode third season to Million Stories, and Washington, DC was one of those cities in that pitch. Beyond that, it's kind of outside my control, but yeah, I'd love to go to DC.
That would be so fun. I think that would be a huge hit for the locals here to see what $100 in DC could get you, you know?
Yeah. I've never been to DC, so yeah, I really want to go.
You need to. You would love it. I can tell you that. So I'd love to rewind a little bit. If you could tell me, where did you get this travel bug or love for exploration?
I don't know. I just kind of always had a little bit of that wanderlust. I traveled a bit with my parents growing up, mostly, domestically, never international.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I can't quite pinpoint it. Just always kind of had that general wanderlust, and it's something I've pursued in my adult life much more than when I was a kid.
Which is fantastic, because you've really been able to go so many places and experience so much more than just even, like the tourist traps. You go beyond and you really give us like a deep dive into these cities, which is really awesome.
Yeah, I try to go beyond that, that first page of Google results and find stuff that, is a little more hidden.
Yeah. So how did this series come about, and was this something you sought after? Could you just kind of give us a little background on how this series came to be?
Yeah, well, I'd had my personal YouTube channel for several years where I made a lot of travel videos, some of which did focus on budget travel, not this specific premise, but doing stuff on the cheap. And so, a friend of mine, people at Million Stories, and I have a mutual friend, a former coworker of mine. They, asked him, do you know of any, people who make videos and stuff? And he's like, as a matter of fact, I do. And we had a call, and they're like, hey, we want to make like a travel show showing how to travel on a budget. And I'm like, well, I have good news. I already made that show, and it's on my YouTube channel, so go check it out. And they did, and they're like, oh yeah, you're the guy we're looking for. And then we kind of worked together. Yeah, we worked together to establish this premise, and went pretty quickly from there.
That's great. Yeah, you definitely seem like this is such a natural fit for you. It's very interesting and informative, and not at all dry. My 16-year-old son's the worst critic, and he has binged many of your episodes, so that says a lot.
That's good to hear. Yeah.
So you've been a lot of cool places between season 1 and season 2. What's been your favorite place to visit in season 2?
In season 2, probably Denver. I'm a big fan of Denver. I'd been there before, but it's just kind of a really fun mix of urban and nature. You can kind of have that city stuff, but then you head out just a few miles outside the city center, and it feels much more nature driven, and so it's a real fun combo.
Okay, you kind of get the best of both
Yeah,
worlds there.
yeah, I'd say so.
So, do you have any fun behind the scenes tidbits you could share? Maybe a fun moment from filming that maybe didn't make the cut?
Well, I can say in you mentioned the Nashville episode earlier. There was a deleted scene in Nashville where I took hula hoop lessons.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, there's this woman who just it's kind of a side hustle for her. She gives hula hoop lessons in the park, and so I there's a whole scene. I think it's on the Million Stories Instagram somewhere as a deleted scene.
Oh, okay, I'll have to.
It's buried. It's there down. It's there somewhere. But yeah, I took hula hoop lessons in Nashville.
That's so fun. What a unique thing to do. Like, and how did you even find that that was the thing? You just kept going down the Google search, page 3, page 4, page 5.
Basically, I mean, Google search, TripAdvisor, just, you Google, unique things in Nashville, weird things in Nashville. Just keep trying different combinations of words, honestly, and just, you'll come up with a lot of the same stuff, but every now and again, something else pops up.
And that's where the magic happens, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, could you talk a little bit more about what goes into planning an episode and how involved are you with that? Or are you just kind of given, hey, here's some things we want you to try? Or are you leading that research process? How does that all work?
I'm leading the research process. The whole thing, I mean, I like I said, I come from the YouTube world, and in the YouTube world, if you don't do it, it doesn't get done. So I'm kind of used to just sort of manning the whole way. And so, yeah, I research everything, and, try to establish, themes, storylines for each episode. And yeah, that's research is probably the most time intensive part of the entire production process, I would say.
And so how long does it take you to, from start to finish, to like research a city you want to go to and make the itinerary, do the breakdown of the dollar amount? How long does that process take? Is that a quick thing? Is that like 2 weeks per city? How does that work?
I'll spend definitely at least a few days per city, and that's just finding stuff. Then there's also, some of the more we're also making a show, and so you want to try to have some storylines, some kind of story arcs to each episode, and so that's an additional thing that most people don't need to worry about.
Yeah.
But when you're making a show, you do. But I would say, yeah, probably a few days, maybe a week per episode is probably what I would do.
Okay, cool. And besides doing the what we see as the finished product and spending, the budgeted amount of $100, do you ever stay longer in a place and do some other things, not so budget friendly things, or splurge a little in certain cities?
I only once. There was just this past season in Louisville. We there's two of us that travel, myself and my field producer, and we stayed an extra day in Louisville so that we could tour Kentucky bourbon country.
Oh, fun.
Which is, and not on camera, nothing like that. Just it's something that had been on my radar for like probably 10 years.
Yeah.
And, so we rented a car and drove maybe 40-50 miles south of the city, hit a few distilleries, and it was definitely worth it. It lived up to the hype. I enjoyed it immensely.
Wow, that's really cool. That definitely sounds like a fun bucket list item. So besides domestically, maybe even domestically, do you have a dream travel destination where if you could go pick up your bags anywhere tomorrow with no reservations, just where would you go? Where's somewhere on your bucket list?
Right now, I would like to go to India, like India, Nepal, Bhutan. Like that's sort of where my head is at right now. I really like Asia. I've bounced around there a little bit so far, but I'd like to go back and explore those areas.
Very cool. That's neat. Europe's on my bucket list. I want to go to Europe.
Where in Europe?
So I'm actually born and raised Canadian. So like I have a loyalty to the Queen. I want to go to Buckingham Palace and see some of
Okay.
that cool stuff. So maybe one day, maybe one
Yeah.
day.
Yeah,
There's
do it.
so many cool places to see, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, London's great.
So I wonder if you could share maybe like your top 2 or top 3 travel preparation tips when it comes to research, something that families can do. What would be some of your best tips or advice to give to families who are researching, planning, but also saving a lot of their money to go on a vacation?
Um, I mean, and I've touched on this already. I think it's just putting the time in. Just not, it's not going to take 20 minutes. It's
Mm.
doing it over the course of a couple of days. Just digging deeper than you think you might have to dig. And then beyond that, I think just be creative. I mean, I think that's part of opening yourself up to different experiences. I mean, I think that's
Sure.
part of what you should do when you travel, but it also can be budget friendly. I mean, I in the Louisville episode, I went to basically it's called an insectarium, and it's basically a live insect zoo. Basically, they let you hold all the bugs and the giant African millipedes and cockroaches, and it's the kind of thing that maybe people might not be into, but it was only $10 too. And so you open yourself up to maybe doing things that are a little outside your comfort zone. You can do things that are different, but also budget friendly.
Yeah, that's a great point because that's something I would never be like on a list of activities. Oh yeah, I want to go to this insect farm, but
Right. Yeah.
you're working with a budget, being open to trying something new that you maybe typically wouldn't be interested in doing or your kids wouldn't be interested in doing. That's a great tip. I love that.
Yeah.
So along those lines, what's something that you hope families or young travelers learn while watching this new season of shows?
I hope they take from it that you don't have to break the bank to have a good time. Creativity is free, and if you do that, if you kind of try a little hard, put some effort in, you can pull off some fun stuff.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it goes a lot to say like taking the time to plan and research, is so much of that battle, and just being a little creative and open-minded with your budget, goes such a long way, especially for families. We're in the midst of trying to decide where are we going to go this summer, and my kids are all old enough where I can tell them we're doing like the presentation pitch. So they're all going to pick a different place. They're all going to pitch us a fun idea, places, activities. So it'll be really interesting to see what they've come up with, or how how many pages deep down the Google search they're willing to go.
Yeah, that's
So what do you hope we can expect or see for maybe possibly a season 3? Is there any other details you can share about season 3, other places you're hoping to visit?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of West Coast areas. Season 2, we kind of had to dance around mask mandates.
Yeah.
That, wearing a mask on camera is not ideal. So we kind of avoided cities that had more stringent mask mandates. And so, I mean, if we do more episodes, I mean, there's a lot of West Coast cities: Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA, Vegas, DC, as I mentioned. Haven't been to Florida either. Tampa, Orlando, Miami, Austin, Texas.
A lot of great places to still visit and explore, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it. You're super entertaining and informative. And as a parent, it's really just fun to watch. It's something, my whole family enjoys watching. So I really appreciate it.
It's great to hear. Thank you so much.
And I hope to see season 3. You come to Washington, D.C.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Thanks, George. Nice talking to you.